Hello and welcome to House Flipping 101. This is the second episode of this series. On this episode, I'm going to be covering the very first chapter, which is on the funding. So why flip a house to begin with? Well, the obvious reason why someone would want to flip a house is to make more money. Otherwise, you can just leave your money in a bank or under a mattress, but of course, you don't want to flip a home in order to lose money and time. If you haven't seen episode 1, then I'll fill you in on the content source of this series. I am bringing the experience of someone who has flipped houses since the 1970s, my grandfather, in order to bring you a valid perspective of someone who has been doing it for decades. It's easy to misunderstand the idea of flipping a home, like what you see on TV, for example. They don't show you all the challenges or the reality of all the different cost variables that come into play during the flip. Most shows explain what it costs, how much repairs are, and then what they're sold for. This is not showing viewers what it really cost. On this episode, I will break down many of the cost variables that are needed when considering flipping a home. So first, let's ask the question, how much money do you need to flip a home? Well, it depends on your cash available, it depends on the cost of the house, the condition of the house, as well as availability of contractors. Now, as you can see, the cost depends on a lot of things. Here is a question guide list. Once filled out, you'll have a good idea of the amount of money you'll need to make your flip a successful flip. If you would like to have a copy of this for yourself, you could find a link for the document in the description below. One important part of flipping a home is the location. You do not want to flip a home that is hours away from where you live. Being close by and keeping an eye on your investment is extremely important. Vandalism, theft, emergency problems, and keeping in touch with your contractors all play a part in your house flip. We'll talk more in depth on the location of the property in the next episode, Chapter 2, which is on location, comps, and market resale. So okay, let's talk about the flip. First, you should find a realtor to work with you. Have the realtor let you know the price range of what houses are selling most frequently, at what price, and also what type of homes. Find out what homes are sold most frequently because you don't want to sit on an investment property for too long, because it's real estate. Time has a cost. Upkeep, utilities, taxes, insurance, etc. All of those will be your responsibility until the house is sold. So for example, let's say that the most frequently house that's sold in your area are ranch homes that are valued around $150,000. The home contains 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a living room, dining room, 2-car garage, and it sits on a half an acre. Suppose your realtor finds you a ranch house that needs some work, listed at $110,000. You offer $90,000, and let's say you settle for $100,000. Your very first hurdle is going to be coming up with this money. If you have it, great. If not, be aware that it could be a challenge because many banks don't lend money for properties that are in need of repair. Now let's say you have $100,000. You're ready to move forward with your investment. Be wary of the easy math that TV can portray. Don't fall into misinformed perspective where you are vaguely factoring in cost of repairs and that's it. Don't say something like, okay, so it's $100,000, the home needs $30,000 in repairs, and I'll sell it for $150,000. And then like magic, I'll make $20,000. There are so many more cost variables that are needed to be factored in. Being that personally, I could be quite analytical, I found this question guide list provided for you to be very fulfilling. Even if you yourself do not have an analytical personality, you certainly should adopt an analytical mindset when contemplating your financial investments, because by avoiding some or most of the costs that come into play with flipping a home, it can cost you a lot of time and money in the long run. And of course, you are not interested in flipping a home to go ahead and waste your time and money. So please, for your own sake, take the time to break down all the cost variables provided on this question guide list, as well as any other cost that you and your realtor can come up with. As you can see, there is so much more to factor in besides just repairs. You have the repair, the renovations, as well as closing cost, permits, taxes, utilities, insurance, maintenance. Also, as a quick reminder, this amount will also depend on how long you sit on the property waiting for it to be sold. Which is why I mentioned earlier about finding the type of houses in your area that sell quick and frequently. Once you list the house and it has sold, you may think, it's time to collect my profits and celebrate. Well, before you go popping the champagne bottles, you still have to factor in even more expenses from this investment. After closing your house, you have to pay real estate commission, attorney fees, transfer tax, as well as interest on the loan, of course if you borrowed money for the investment. If after all of these cost variables, you found out that you earned a profit, well then congratulations. But remember, by earning a profit, you'll most likely have to pay tax on your earnings, depending of course on where you live. In the States, you'll pay a income tax or capital gains tax. If flipping a home is something you are considering, then take the time to calculate what the real cost will be for you. Will you gain a profit or will it be a loss? Also, as a side note, if time is something that you value, consider asking yourself if the possible profit is even worth it. For example, is taking the risk in time to buy a house, fix it up, and then flip it over a span of sitting on it for 6 months, a year, 2 years, to only earn a profit of like a couple $1,000s? Ask yourself, is that really worth it? But if you see the projected profit to be very much worth it for you, and you want to go forward in learning everything that goes into flipping a house and it's something you really want to move forward with, then good luck. Go ahead and make your investment happen. This has been the first chapter of House Flipping 101, episode number 2 on the funding. If you haven't seen the first episode, which is the introduction, please go ahead and check that out. You'll find a link for it in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm your host, Matthew, aka Trident Lion. You'll find my social media links in the description, and I cannot wait to present you with the next episode number 3 of this series, which will be on location, comps, and market resale.